is Robert Paul. My presentation title tonight is called Marking My Journey with Maps plus Pin Emoji plus List Tag. I swear this will make sense later. Apologies to Derek. I didn't realize that my title would be like damn near a Jira ticket. Like there's like browser compatibility bugs with the list tag. Derek, how long have you been doing this meetup now?
3 years, I think.
3 years.
2 years? 3 years.
2 years?
3 years. I think it's 3 years.
Let's give it up for Derek. 3 years of JavaScript meetups. I'm incredibly excited and honored to be here to share this. First, let me give you a visual of what I'm kind of talking about. For a project of mine, I had to recreate a kind of the same UI feature that you see with Airbnb, Zillow, Yelp, where you see Google Maps or maps and some markers that correspond to list items on the side. Just want to give you a visual example of what we're talking about here. So why am I doing this presentation? Does anyone here know who Derek Sivers is? No? This is the guy who made CD Baby, doesn't matter. He has this, he talks about something called obvious to you, amazing to others. And I feel like as developers, we kind of get stuck in a weird feedback loop where we go from a topic kind of being like completely over our head. We have no idea how it works. And then we tangle with it. And then soon after, it's like, oh yeah, obvious. Like, I know how to do that. Easy. The trouble is if we keep going down that path too many times in a row, like we never share back like how to do something or how something works. And that's part of what I want to do today. Like last year, I tackled something, and when I figured out how it actually worked, like how the sausage was made in the back, it was kind of like a revelatory moment for me, really understanding how web applications work. And solving something with no solution, the thing I'm going to do tonight, there was no solution for it on Stack Overflow. There's no help. There's no documentation for it, so it's quite a journey. And it's about me meeting a frantic grad school deadline. So I applied for getting into grad school last year. And this project was one of 3 things as part of my portfolio. So that's part of the story of what's going on. And also it's me sharing my dirty, dirty code. You'll see a lot of bad things in here. I showed some of this code last week to Derek, and I was like, hey, what do you think? He's like, yeah, it looks good, but he would never ship that to production. I was like, oh, too late. So yeah, this is Airbnb. This is what it looks like. On Zillow, same idea. Yelp, I know that one very well. And so here's my design. This app was just a reimagining of what the student group community for colleges, what it would look like if they had their own website. The idea, this is one part of it, was being able to see where communities exist on campus. So you list items on the side are student groups, and the markers on the map are where those groups meet up on campus. It's great. So to begin the story, yeah, let's go back. It's November 1st, 2016. I'm a month away from my grad school deadline. Everything's pretty much done with my application and with everything I'm doing except for this. And since I had no idea how I was going to do what I was going to do, I felt like I was in a very bad place. So I had no way of understanding how that kind of feature works. So like I knew HTML and CSS, and I knew JavaScript to make interactions with what was on the page. I knew how to get data in and out of a database to display on a page. Yeah, also, you're going to see some Ruby code, so you might experience some emotional pain if you're not into that. So the app is a Ruby on Rails app. Right, but filters with new data and no page refresh, like we're not redirecting to a new page, and the markers on the map are the same as the list items with that filtering. Like I had no conceptual idea of how that worked. So a moment to step back, take it easy and think. Go back to programming fundamentals and just break it down into small parts, one thing at a time. So the first thing I needed to figure out was how do I get a group admin to click on a map and save those latitude and longitude coordinates for their group. This is how I did it. If this looks ugly, it's because it's Ruby form. But when I looked this up, it still was really hard. There was not any good answers. So the data type, like, just to help you out, is float. You also have to specify this huge amount of decimal places because latitude and longitude coordinates vary depending on where you click. It's not the same amount. And the way I was doing this is I had an ID tag to let you know like where that form was. And then in the JavaScript, in the Google Maps, this just took forever to figure out. I don't even know, like it seems simple now, but at the time I was just lost. Listening for a click event on the map, fetching those latitude. Where's my thing? There's a, I don't know why I'm pointing with my hand. Sorry, Billy. All right. Fetching the latitude and longitude, and then putting that back into where that form is for latitude and longitude. Just to show you what I'm talking about. Edit meeting info. Right, so this idea. So here's UC Davis. Click on a map, and the latitude and longitude, they change. That just took forever to figure out. Forever. So anyways, back to presentation. So, right. Bam, done. Display a list of groups and their locations on a map. So just that first thing, when you go to that page, list items, markers on a map. There are like a billion examples to how to put one marker on a map, but there's like nothing for how to display a lot of markers on a map. Like that information just really is not out there. But tucked away on the Google Maps API page, they're talking about customizing marker icons. I saw this thing. So they had beach locations in an array with the beach name and latitude and longitude. And then, wrong way. And then later on, they're referring to those parts in the array as for latitude and longitude. And the name is represented by the first thing in the array. Like this is kind of, I displayed this list of multiple markers on a page. Like where I need to be. So I'm just going to have to like write some JavaScript to do this. So I'm just not going to be able to find it. I'll do it myself to do it. So that what if I try this? Problem is I'm like in Ruby world, right? How do I get this into a JavaScript array? It's like, what if I just like create a Ruby array and inject that into a JavaScript array? It worked. I don't know how. I didn't even know you could do that. I had to convert it to JSON, the latitude and longitude to JSON, but it worked. Awesome. And then the list items was something I already knew how to do, which was just all the group records that are there, just pump out list items. Bam, done. Awesome. It works. That's great. Except it's just there's no filtering happening. It's just two identical arrays of information. You have one array for the list, one array for the map markers. There's nothing connecting them together at all. And the buttons for filtering by category and day are just useless. You click them, they don't do anything. Also, that took 3 weeks to figure out. And I only had a week left until my grad school deadline was coming. So yeah, time to ask for help. Luckily, at that time, I had made friends with a backend developer, and I was just like, please help me. I'm this far along. Just what should I be looking into? And he's like, again, that obvious thing. He's like, oh, yeah, that's an AJAX JavaScript thing. Yeah, duh. I was like, oh, yeah, sure. Yeah, absolutely. What the shit is AJAX? And I looked at the documentation and immediately died. It just like makes no sense. I don't know if you ever looked at AJAX documentation. It's just impossible to understand. And I'm like, dude, just help me out. That doesn't make any sense. He's like, oh, you should just look at jQuery get. And this was the path of, I was my angel of figuring this out. jQuery get, just this shorthand jQuery to basically do an AJAX call. So you're simulating an HTTP, well, I guess not simulating, it is an HTTP request, but you're getting new data from a little piece of JavaScript. You're not having to do a redirect or go to, or to refresh the page. I was like, this is the area of what I need to be doing. So pause, people doing this for the first time, you're gonna see a lot of code. I did not do this all at one time. If you're something you need to do does 12 things, like you need to do half of one thing to start out, like you just do one little piece at a time, minor victories to get there. Yeah, so let's focus on the important parts. So step one, buttons, right? Somebody clicks a button, we need to know what button they clicked. So these are the buttons for what day. Like, oh, I want to see groups for who meet on a particular day. Day is represented as a data attribute. Day equals 1 for Monday. Day equals 2 for Tuesday. And I also have something here to represent what college it represents. And for JavaScript, I'm listening for those buttons for what they click. And then I'm just grabbing that data attribute for day. So if it's Monday, I'll grab that 1 and store it in what day was clicked. Same for category. Right, same thing for category buttons, same idea. So back to the get, jQuery get. Inside the parentheses, this is like the URL that it wants to go to get new data. And this is what you're carrying with it. So you're carrying with it, what category did they click? What day did they click? What college is it? You're carrying with that to go fetch new data. Now if we go into Ruby world in my controller, don't need to understand any of this. Don't worry about it. It's not important. But the data inserted from AJAX goes here like, hey, I'm looking for groups that match this college and match this day and match this category. Great. And then also create a new array with the name, latitude, longitude, the URL, their picture. And Ruby, I love you, but I need JSON. So please render that out as JSON so I can use it. Boom, boom, boom. Yeah. And then it comes back, we pass in that data, and then just create new group arrays with that new data, all without going to a new page refresh or new page. Dun, dun, dun. This is the real trick shit I did not know about right here. OK. And this is how I made it work. I did not know this, but with JavaScript, you can get new data, and then that list of items, it's right after I get new data, I clear it out. And through ugly JavaScript, well, I guess it's ugly, but it's beautiful to me that it's possible to do this. You're putting together what would be like li tag starts and ends. You're just putting it all together with JavaScript and then inserting these elements in the array. So this is what is this? This is the image for the group. This is the name of the group, I think. And this is the URL to go to the group. It's really, also, if you have any shitty inline styles, that go in as well. I did not fix that to make it beautiful for you guys. Yeah, and then you replace what was there before. Same thing with the markers. The new data coming in, just create new markers with the new data that we have coming in. Oh, yeah. This blew my mind. Let me just show and make sure, like I'm sure you guys believe me, but I'm like, let me just get it working so they know that I actually went through all this pain to get it to work. So all right, categories. If I click creative, oh, Songwriters Anonymous, that group shows up. Beautiful. If I click Monday, no groups, no groups, no groups, no groups, no groups. When do they meet? Oh, they meet on Saturday. So it works. Back to the thing. Yeah. This blew my mind. I did not know you could do this. I didn't know this is how it worked. I'm sure that for Zillow and Yelp, I'm sure they do something different. But this is like the vein of how this stuff works. And I just didn't know that you could do that, especially with, yeah. So now, it's November 30th, 2016. My final application is due. A lot of code that needs to be refactored, obviously. But you know what? Just push it. Just get it. It's good enough. It's good enough. Yeah. A couple months later, here back, MIT wants nothing to do with me. University of Washington, no thank you. Carnegie Mellon University, hallelujah, get accepted. Makes the hard work worth it. Things I still want to learn. Things like on click of a marker on the map, the corresponding list item would be highlighted. I still don't yet know how to do that. Every time I'm getting new data, I'm having to re-render the map. I really want to just re-render the markers, but I couldn't get the code to work right, so that'll code later. There's this idea that you can have the visuals of the map be only to what the markers are on the screen. Couldn't get that to work either. Make it faster, it still feels a little slow. Componentize it with React. I don't know how to componentize it yet, but things to learn in the future. That's my journey. Hope you found this useful. Thank you all so much. That's all I got.